All right. Hello out there in YouTube land. Welcome to the first, yes, that is right, the first video for my channel, Life in Alberta. All YouTubers have to start off somewhere, and you are getting a taste of my first video on this channel. So I am Glenn. I am a former teacher who is now retired. And rather than going into the classroom and talking and giving instruction and covering a lot of different topics, I figured I would start up a YouTube channel where I can kind of do the same thing. So thank you. If you found your way to this channel, thank you. Please leave a like, share, subscribe. Again, it's really tough for the YouTube algorithms to kind of kick in until we get a lot of like, share, and subscribing. So please support the channel. Always a little bit difficult starting out, but thank you. Thank you for showing up, and hopefully you'll enjoy the content I have. We're going to cover a lot of different things in the channel. Of course, the title Life in Alberta. So we're going to focus on kind of Alberta events. It may be sports, it may be weather related, it may be agriculture and farming, it may be consumerism. Probably going to avoid a lot of the politics in Alberta, simply because that's kind of divisive, and I don't want people fighting and arguing too much. But we will cover a lot of different topics as we go through and create content for the channel. So once again, thank you so much for stopping by. The first guest that I'm going to have on the Life in Alberta podcast is Ryan. And Ryan is a big Oiler fan. And of course, with the Oilers starting their playoff drive tomorrow, what a better way to start the channel with something that Albertans are passionate about. Most Albertans love their hockey. And so Ryan, being a longtime fan of the Oilers, is a perfect guest to start off this channel's content. So welcome, Ryan, to the channel.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
So, Ryan, why don't you tell the YouTube crowd a little bit about yourself?
Just born and raised out on the farm. I'm a fire alarm technician for Johnson Controls. I'm married to a wonderful wife and have myself a newborn.
Newborn baby, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm sure between that and the work and then your wife, that's keeping you kind of busy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%.
So this is Life in Alberta. Have you spent your entire life living in Alberta?
Yep. No, haven't been anywhere else.
Excellent. So again, perfect guest for the show. So thanks again for joining, Ryan. So with the Oilers starting their playoff drive tomorrow, a lot of times we hear from the popular broadcasters. We hear from, the mainstream media that gives their opinion. I think it'd be kind of cool if we can kind of just get an average guy from Alberta that's lived here his entire life, that's loved hockey, to kind of give his input about the team, where they're going, maybe some of the things they've done wrong in the past. And I think we're going to hopefully reach that average Albertan audience. So what do you say?
Oh, sounds good. I'm definitely not a writer, definitely not an ex-hockey player. I'm definitely cover the average Albertan.
Excellent. Okay. So first of all, I mean, the obvious question is, how did you get involved? How did your love for hockey grow? Where did it start?
Just in the early 2000s, with those playoff runs against Dallas all the time. Hearing the hype song on the radio. I always liked those songs when they would add little clippets from the games and what have you, and it just a lot of fun. It seemed like a really fun time. So kind of that drew me in.
Okay, excellent. And why the Oilers? Why were the Oilers your team pretty much right from the beginning?
Well, growing up just north of Edmonton, they were the home team, so didn't really know anywhere else.
Yeah, and growing up in Edmonton around Alberta, obviously supporting the home team is what a lot of people do when they watch their hockey. And growing up, who would you say was your first hockey idol that you kind of grew up and enjoyed watching and supporting?
It was definitely Ryan Smith.
So Ryan Smith.
Yeah.
Ryan Smith. Tell us a little bit about why Ryan Smith was your guy.
Well, he's your typical Albertan. Really, grew up in Banff. Hard worker. Definitely never had a lot of skill. Never had a lot of toughness, but his work ethic let him have a nice long career in the NHL, and it's definitely something to be admired.
Yeah, I think you're with a lot of Albertans there with Ryan Smith as one of their all-time favorites. Do you remember any particular goal or when Ryan Smith was with the Oilers that comes to mind pretty quickly here?
I remember his retirement game against Vancouver and seeing the whole Vancouver team come out and shake his hand at the end of the game. I think that was a really classy thing to do for a classy player.
Yeah, that was
But
definitely a
as for
special.
goals, yeah, no, as for goals and stuff, I mean, he never really scored beauties. They were all hard working goals, so they all kind of looked the same.
Well, I'm not sure how the video will work here because video sometimes is a little bit choppy when we do these broadcasts. But let's go back down memory lane a little bit and let's take a look at this moment here with Ryan Smith. So just double checking. Can you see the video?
Yep, yep.
Excellent.
Oilers looking ahead. Arnett is coming up on it. Here's Smith. He shoots. He scores. Smith scores at 22 seconds of the second overtime. And the Edmonton Oilers are on the ice. They've won this fifth game and go back home with a 3-2 lead in the series.
So I know you're probably a little bit were a little bit too young at the time to
Yeah,
remember.
that was before my time, but that's probably one of the furthest goals he scored from the net.
Absolutely. Ryan Smith was not known for his slap shot, was he?
Yeah. No,
So
not a bit.
That was the double overtime win by the Oilers against the Dallas Stars. And again, a reason why he was Captain Canada. Oilers unfortunately missed a lot of playoffs during his career in Edmonton, and he always represented Team Canada whenever he could. So good choice. So moving ahead to kind of the current team, what do you remember or who do you idolize kind of the most with the current day Oilers?
Well, he's not on the Oilers anymore, but I'd say the first guy that I idolized after Ryan Smith was Jordan Eberle.
Okay.
But then he moved on, whether we thought it was the right trade or not. He moved on anyway, and after that, it was Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. So what was it about Ryan Nugent-Hopkins that you kind of admired about him?
Well, he was a BC boy, so not quite Albertan, but he played all his junior hockey in Red Deer, so nice and close to home. Just everything you hear about him, everything you see about him, it's he's a community guy, really well respected, really nice guy. Just a personality to look up to, I guess.
And maybe you can clarify, being a huge Oiler fan, but is he the longest serving Oiler currently?
Yeah, he was drafted in 2010. I mean, I guess if Oscar Klefbom was still around, he would have tied that. He would be with Oscar Klefbom for the same amount of time, but not just it's him, longest serving so far.
All right. And one thing about Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, he can play both ends of the ice. He can do offense. He can play defense. Got to admire a guy that, plays both ends and, doesn't
Penalty
just
kill,
focus
power play.
Yep, penalty kill, power play. So we got to go back and reminisce a little bit about the early days of Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. So let's take a look at his first ever goal as an Edmonton Oiler. So how about that moment? Do you remember that moment?
I remember that moment, but the moment I remember more is I believe it was one or two games after that game he scored a hat trick, so that came pretty quick. He was looking to be a really offensive minded player, but ended up rounding out to be a nice all around player.
Yeah, and he just recently signed a new contract, didn't he? Is he going to be around for a while?
Yeah, eight more years.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Good. So Ryan Smith, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, I'm sure the name Ryan doesn't really come into play.
It's more of a fluke than anything, to be honest.
Okay, okay. So let's just test your memory here, being a dedicated Oiler fan. Name a
Oh boy.
couple other Ryans that played for the team over the years.
Oh boy, Ryan Jones.
Ryan Jones, very good.
There's a Derek Ryan, not the first name Ryan, but last name's Ryan.
Okay, Derek Ryan.
Uh,
And who was the defenseman that was here for a couple of years?
oh, Ryan Whitney. Yeah, Ryan Whitney.
Absolutely, yeah, Ryan Whitney. So the
There's,
Oilers.
there's a couple more I could. There's the new kid, Ryan McLeod.
Yeah, very good. So there you go, folks. We know we have a true dedicated Oiler fan when he remembers all the Ryans that played for the team. So let's move ahead a little bit, and actually let's go back a little bit. When we look at the last 15 years since the 2006 run, how have your emotions? How have you been able to handle the downside of the roller coaster for most of the last 15 years?
Hope. So just a lot of hope. I mean, yeah, the team never did well, but there was always the moments in time that kept you coming back.
Okay, well, let's talk about those moments in time. Let's talk about Oiler transactions. What's a high point and a low point with the Oiler trades or movements that they've made since you've been a fan?
Well, I mean, all the moves they made to get to the Cup final in 2006. I mean, Rolly the goalie, they got Chris Pronger, Mike York, Samsonov, all those guys that just really drove the team to the Cup final. That was a lot of great moves by a guy who's really not liked anymore in the community, Kevin Lowe. And that might have to do with trading away Ryan Smith over the rumor of a couple $100,000. But
yeah,
another high point, Cam Talbot, getting him, probably the best goalie we've had since Rollison. So can't really argue with that one. Too bad we chew up goalies and spit them out like nothing. And then there's the Griffin Reinhart trade, which I think it's really set us back. Just giving up those two high picks for a guy who played a handful of games and we lost to Vegas anyway.
So you're talking about the 2015 entry draft, aren't you?
Yes, that roller coaster of a draft.
What else happened in 2015?
Oh, we got our Mr. Connor McDavid.
The lottery balls sure fell our way. And do you remember the exact place you were when the Oilers won the draft lottery?
We were at the Calgary Entertainment and Comic-Con Expo.
Calgary. Wow.
Yep.
So that must have been a great opportunity to celebrate as an Oiler fan in the Flame territory.
I remember seeing there's a young or a Team Canada poster of Connor McDavid in one of the booths there for Pro Am Sports. Nice little plug for them. I remember seeing it and going, it'd be nice if he was on our team, if we got him, blah, blah, blah. We had an 11% chance, so I never really thought anything of it. And sure enough, that night, we won the lottery, and I ran there first thing that morning, waited for them to open up that booth, and I grabbed that poster as quick as I could.
And you still have it, I take it?
It's still in the box. I haven't even brought it out.
Wow. So that's 7 years.
7 years. Last time I talked to the guy, he figured it's gone about 5 times up in for what it's worth. Signed by him and everything.
So what you're saying is it's still mint value, mint condition.
Mint condition, yep.
Mint condition, yes. So that 2015 draft and then the lottery and getting Connor McDavid, and as you see on the screen, we gave up our second and third round pick.
Well, we also gave up another first rounder that we got from somebody else.
Oh, okay. All for Griffin Reinhart.
From Griffin Reinhart,
yeah, as an Oiler fan, Griffin Reinhart, was well loved here with his junior days with the Oil Kings. I believe he was captain when they went to the Memorial Cup and won the Memorial Cup. So I think it was a bittersweet moment for Oiler fans at the time when I believe it was Peter Chiarelli. Wasn't he the GM that made the trade?
Yes, which he was brand new that year. We kicked out Mac T, brought in Chia because we needed a legitimate, and I say that with air quotes, general manager to look after Connor McDavid.
Right. Yeah.
And he sold the farm to try to make it work, and it just never worked.
Yeah. A lot of hope back then. A lot of, I'm sure people were dreaming about multiple Stanley Cups by, the year 2020, and just hasn't panned out that way yet. But we're moving forward, and things seem to be picking up a little bit. Some off-season moves last year, and then during the season, we made a couple other moves. So we'll see how this playoff run goes. So that was kind of a high and low moment. Any other transactions that stand out for you in the past 15 years?
Well, just looking at that draft right there, this could have been a heck of a draft for the Oilers. I mean, 4th round, 5th round, 6th round, all 3 of those players are in the NHL right now, and they're all defensemen. So it could have been a heck of a draft for us.
Right, and we lost Caleb Jones to the Hawks. Ethan Bear's on Carolina now.
Yeah,
and John Marino
didn't want to sign with us.
Yeah, I believe it was out of college. Wasn't that the case?
Yeah, and then we traded him to who? Pittsburgh.
Right.
Pittsburgh.
And Ethan Bear, who'd we get for Ethan Bear?
What's his name? Foligno. For crying out loud. Warren Fogle, yeah.
Warren Fogle, yes. And Caleb Jones, I don't remember off the top of my head who we got for him.
The defenseman everybody loves.
Was he part of
Duncan Keith?
Was he part of the Duncan Keith deal?
Yeah, Duncan Keith, and we even gave up a 3rd for Duncan Keith as well.
Yeah. So again, it's the moves that our new GM or relatively new GM has made. And what do you think about Ken Holland's performance so far?
He really likes to bring up the old days in Detroit, that's for sure. I don't know. He's frustrating. He's frustrating. That's all I can say. And you don't really know why, because the moves he's made have been solid. They've been good. They've not been terrible. But it's not. But I think a lot of people just don't think it's enough. I mean, take the money out of it, and Duncan Keith is a really good second pairing defenseman, third pairing defenseman. Take the money out of it, and he's exactly what you need. But because of the money, people don't like it.
Yeah, frustrating. But then again, perfect GM for the Oilers over the last 15 years. I mean, can fans get even more frustrated with the way the team has performed? Moving on, Ryan, let's talk a little bit about the playoffs. With the playoffs coming up, we've got some interesting matchups on the horizon, and the Oilers, of course, play their first game tomorrow. So we are recording this on Sunday night. They play their first game, and then they play every second day after that. So how do you see this matchup shaping up with the Kings?
I think we're going to shape up pretty well. I mean, the Kings are going to try to slow us down. That's their type of hockey, slow and heavy. But
do you think our former coach Todd McClellan has any kind of edge coaching against Edmonton in the playoffs?
I don't think so. No. Woodcroft he's exactly what we needed. Quite honestly, if we had him 5 years ago, this team would have been way better off. Okay. He seems to understand the players a lot more. He gets the best out of them. He's not afraid to use the young guys, whereas Tippett would only want to play the veterans, which, I mean, you can understand, but at the same time, you got to get the young guys in there. They got the fresh legs all the time. And I see us getting past them fairly easily.
Okay, and what do you see as the two keys for success? If the Oilers are going to win this series against LA, what are the two things that they need to do really well?
just keep locking it down defensively. Mike Smith really helps out on the back end with the puck play. Really makes it a lot easier for the defensemen. And other than that, our forward group is the deepest it's ever been. Like, it's definitely deeper than the 2017 run. So they just got to keep on doing what they're doing. I mean, Evander Kane and Hyman just on the left side there. Huge improvements to what it was the last couple of years. Even in 2017, huge improvements.
Yeah, and I agree. I think Mike Smith is definitely a good puck mover and can contribute to the transition game. And Zach Hyman has definitely added a very subtle positive presence to the team. Considering all the Oiler players, who is the one guy, maybe a very underrated guy that you could see making a statement during this first round?
Like a Pisani of 06?
Yeah, exactly. Pisani.
I want to say Warren Fogle.
Warren Fogle.
Yep.
So the Ethan Bear trade, this could be his moment.
I think the heavy hockey that the playoff brings is right up his alley.
Okay, yeah, I definitely think he has that in his game to play that heavy hockey and the net front presence and the physicality that it's going to take in the playoffs. And I think I think my choice for a guy I'd like to see stand out and make his presence is Zach Kassian. I think it's time for Zach Kassian to step up, show the type of player he has been in the past. That 2017 run, he was one of the most valuable players on the Oilers in the playoffs, and we need to see him become the old Zach Kassian.
Like, I really hope him and Puljujärvi have been learning from Kane, because Kane is exactly what those two have to be like.
Yeah, absolutely. Evander Kane, wonderful addition to the team, and hopefully he'll continue his strong presence in the playoffs as well. So you don't see the Edmonton Oilers having too much of an issue with the Kings. Let's take a look at the playoff bracket here, and let's just.
The only issue I see us having with the Kings is if Quick decides to show up in the early 2010s, hit that form of Jonathan Quick, just like we got stuffed last year by or not last year by Chicago.
Oh, by Corey Crawford.
Corey Crawford decided to show up in his early 20 or mid 20s for him. I mean, if Quick does that to us, it's going to be over.
Yeah, I think you make an interesting point, Ryan, is that goaltending can win a series no matter what the rest of the team talent is like. We've seen it on both ends of the Oilers' playoff history where our goalies have robbed other teams, and it's been the other way around as well, like Chicago. And I think the key is, though, if the Oilers get down early or if Jonathan Quick makes some outstanding saves early on, the Oilers need to find a way to not let that get to them. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. But we also have the two nuclear weapons, for lack of a better term, that even though we could get stuffed all game long, they can ratchet it up and try everything they can to get it past Quick.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think the first, two games are going to be key. I think if the Oilers get down 0-2 to the Kings, I don't think they can come back. They just haven't shown that resilience in the last couple of playoffs. I think they definitely need to win at least one of the two home games to start off the series. So
and we've been playing very well at home lately, so it should be a walk in the park. I think it'll be a 5-game series regardless which way it goes.
Okay, so let's peg you down here now because I want to have you back after the first round. So you're gonna take the Oilers in 5?
Yeah, Oilers in 5 or LA in 5. We'll go Oilers in 5.
All right, so let's go to the East first of all. The East has some interesting matchups as well. Florida, Washington. Just who's the winner? How many games?
Florida in 5.
Okay.
I just want to write it down.
Rangers and Pittsburgh.
Rangers and Pittsburgh. I think it's going to be Pittsburgh, and I think it's going to be 6.
Okay. So you got Florida in 5. You've got the Rangers, or did you say the Rangers in 6?
No, Pittsburgh in 6.
Okay. How about Boston, Carolina?
I know my younger brother isn't going to be happy with me about this, but I think it's going to be Carolina in 5.
Carolina. All right. And now what I think is going to be the most intriguing and even maybe the most exciting first round match. Tampa Bay goes into Toronto for the first 2 games. How do you see that series playing out? Who takes it? How many games?
I mean, the champs are the champs. They're 2-time defending champs. And as long as they're the champs, you have to go for them. So I'm going to say the Bolts in 5.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think Tampa Bay, as you said, they are the reigning champs, and the reigning champs are always tough to take down. Even though Toronto has home ice advantage, Austin Matthews may or may not play in that first game tomorrow night, so that's going to hurt them. And Toronto's still a fairly young team, so
And Stamkos has had the best year of his career this year. He has,
and he's revved it up in the last week or so. Like he has been on fire. Same with Kucherov as well. So if
I mean,
Tampa,
the last 2 years, the MVP in the playoffs has been their goalie.
right, and I think as long as Vasilevsky is at least average, I think Tampa Bay should win this. Let's move over back to the West. You got either Edmonton or LA in 5. You went with Edmonton. How about Minnesota, St. Louis?
I don't know. That one, they're just two very.
It's really tough because Minnesota, very defensive team under Dean Evison. They acquired Marc-Andre Fleury, who's got to be a wild card in this series.
That's just it. And I mean the Blues goaltending situation is I mean their guy a couple years ago when they won the cup is no longer their guy. He's the backup now, Bennington.
Yeah,
I'd have to go. It's going to be we're going to go Minnesota in 7.
Minnesota in 7. I'm with you there. I think it's going to be a tough series. Maybe Minnesota takes it in 6, but it could go the full 7 games depending on the Blues goaltending. Avalanche and Predators. Avalanche have had a tough time with the Predators all season.
And they finished the season poor. They finished with the last 10 games under 500 or at 500, I believe.
Right. So I think Nashville was happy to draw Colorado in the first round. They may be without Yuri Saros for the first round as well. Colorado has always had issues with goaltending. They've never had that strong goaltender probably since Patrick Waugh, maybe David Abishire. How do you see this series going? Who wins? How many games?
Well, it's the McKinnon effect, I think. He's sick of not winning. A guy that can turn a series just like McDavid can. Really very similar players. McKinnon might just be a little stronger, and where McDavid is a little faster. I want to say Avalanche in 6.
Okay. Again, I think that might go 7 games. I think Nashville really has a shot. I think McKinnon is very comparable to the McDavid drive, tired of losing, wanting to win. Both teams have young defenses. And finally, we got to touch on, Dallas and Calgary. How do you see that one going?
I think Calgary's going to roll them over. I don't think it's going to be a very good game or a very good series for Dallas. I think Calgary is going to be the Oilers' second round opponent. I think it's going to be Calgary in 5. Okay. No, you know what? No, we're going to go Calgary in 4. We haven't done it in 4 yet.
Calgary with the sweep, huh? Against the
we're going to go. Calgary with the sweep.
Yeah, I think we could see a lot of goals in that series there, especially from Calgary side. Both teams have, average to above average goaltending. Ottinger probably for Dallas. We've got Markstrom for Calgary. So I think at most it'll go 5, but we could see a lot of goals. So you've got Calgary, you've got Edmonton, you've got Colorado, and you went Minnesota. So you went with all the home teams in the West.
Yeah.
And then you went Florida, Tampa Bay, Carolina, and Pittsburgh. So you went kind of 2 home teams, 2 away teams there. So we'll see how that pans out. And like I said, I want to have you back after the first round, whether the Edmonton Oilers win or lose. We'll have you back and we'll reflect on what that first round was like. So just before we end off here, Ryan, if other Oiler fans who have a similar opinion of you or opinion as you want to reach out, want to make contact, want to make some chit chat with an average Albertan guy, how can they get a hold of you?
I just have Twitter. It's they call me Finn. All one word, all together. There it is. A little politics too, if you want to engage in that. And I'm looking at getting a YouTube channel all set up here too as well. So be on the lookout for that.
Hey, very good, very good. Before we go, just two final questions here. We talk about your favorite team you're loyal, team you love, team you support, team you want to see raise the cup very soon, being Edmonton. What about the other end of the spectrum? Who is it that you would probably have to take a cold shower if they won the cup?
Like I'd be happy if they won the cup.
No, you would.
It's Toronto. Toronto. If Toronto wins the cup, I'm going to be awfully upset.
And quick synopsis: why is Toronto, even though it's a Canadian team, why are they
a Canadian team? And this year, with the year that Matthews has had, we've already heard enough of them. I wouldn't mind if they had a quick exit and we could get on with the rest of the league.
All right. So we're going to end off just again with a quick little video. This podcast, the Average Guy podcast, on Life in Alberta YouTube channel with our guest, Ryan, big-time Oiler fan and a longtime resident of Alberta. The next month and a half, 2 months are all about the ultimate prize, raising up the Stanley Cup, which in my opinion is the best trophy in hockey by far. The celebration is the best celebration in sport, and can't wait until we see who raises that in a couple months. Hopefully it's Edmonton. But let's kind of end off with this just little video tribute about what the Stanley Cup is all about.
It's the highest thing you can ever do. You'll never take it away from us.
Something that we've been working towards our whole lives. The camaraderie, the bond, that you have when you're going through that. It's so emotional, it's so taxing, but it's so special.
The moment of pain is worth a lifetime of glory, and it's going to be with each other.
We're fired up. The playoffs are back.
Play this all night, all night.
Let's go, Spirit. Push the pass. And this crowd is absolutely on fire.
Let's go.
Getting you revved up for the playoff starting tomorrow.
It's going to be a couple of late nights. I know that for sure.
Yes. So thank you again so much, Ryan, for joining my first video on the Life in Alberta channel, my first podcast, getting used to some of the software. Yes, there may be a few glitches along the way, but we made it through. Any closing comments that you want to make about the Oilers, about hockey, about anything in general?
No, I mean, it's going to be great to have the fans back in the building. That's for sure. Going to be able to feel the energy through the TV now.
All right. So let's end off with your Go Oilers Go.
Go Oilers Go.
All right. Thanks again, Ryan. And we'll have you back after the first round of the playoffs. Enjoy the hockey over the next couple of weeks. Take care.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
Bye.